Welcome to TITLE Unboxed. With more than 40 years of experience in the fight game, our host, Doug Ward, will be covering every corner of the ring as we get comfortable between the ropes. We'll talk with both the lesser knowns and the legends, discuss boxing's rich history and current state of the game. We'll also look at today's latest innovations, equipment breakdowns, and insights you won't uncover anywhere else. Join us now as we take a look inside TITLE Unboxed.
Hi everybody, I'm Doug Ward, and welcome to our very first episode of TITLE Unboxed. You know, we've wanted to get this going for quite a while because we have such a passion for the fight game, equipment innovation, to amateur and professional boxing, and everything beyond the ropes. You know, we've gotten to know so many amazing people in this sport and want to connect to create one big boxing family. With that being said, I'm thrilled to announce one of boxing's legendary fighters. He is the 1976 Olympic gold medalist at light welterweight. He fought professionally from 1977 to 1997. He won world titles in 5 different weight classes, and he was the undisputed WBC and WBA welterweight world champion. He helped define an era of greatness. So please welcome our friend and inaugural guest to TITLE Unboxed, Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard. Good to see you, Ray. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Doug. How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. So how's the family holding up during this chaotic, uncertain time we're in?
It's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge for everyone. My teenage son, 19 years old, wants to hang out with his boys, and I understand that's okay. But you know, it depends on who you ask. How bad is this thing? And how bad it's going to get. Well, the quarantine, not being able to do what we used to do, what we took for granted, our time and being out there, enjoying life. It's like a movie. It's like a horror movie.
A bad movie, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the last time we talked, we were at I think we were at the City of Hope Battle of the Badges, the fundraiser they do every year. And I think you'd just come back from a trip to the UK and hadn't slept in 48 hours. So I would assume you're probably liking a little bit of this downtime. Maybe it's too extreme, but you're probably enjoying the time with your family and just taking a break from it. Actually retiring. You know, I just, you know, it's just that I like things on my terms. I like to be able to do what I want to do without thinking about it. But you know, I learned to be patient. That's all. You must be patient. Right. And I keep my fingers crossed. I continue to pray. It's going to be okay. I'm an optimistic person by nature. So we'll get through this. We will get through this. Yeah. Well, we'll fight through it. Yes. Well, one thing that's probably not changed for you is you're working out at home. You've been doing that from the start. In fact, you were ahead of the curve. You were doing the working out at home and sharing tips on social and all that well before everybody else. Probably, maybe going on 3 years?
Longer than that. Way longer than that. Yeah. I just love it, you know, because when I work out, it frees my mind of what's taking place, the ugliness. And I, you know, when I retired for good from boxing, I kept it up, you know, because I like working out. I like looking good, looking healthy. And again, it's good for this. It's good for my brain. Right.
Keep it mentally sharp.
Hitting that bag and speed bag and jumping rope and running. The running thing has been tough because my knees are starting to wear down. Yeah. How's your knees?
Not the best.
Okay.
My cardio is lifting and working the bag and all that stuff.
Yeah. My cardio, but the thing with, I tell you, on the tennis court, I run up and down and I'll play for about 2 hours or so, and I'll lose. I tell you, Doug, I'll lose between 5 to 8 pounds.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's hot out there. What did they say? It's 20 degrees hotter on the court than it is
Yes, it
outside of it?
But I love it. I mean, I grew up with the heat, trying to make weight as an amateur boxer. You know, I remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're used to it. This is a cakewalk comparatively.
This is a cakewalk. Yes, it is.
So obviously you take a different approach to your workouts now. You do focus more on functional training, things that help you in your lifestyle and just what your wellness needs are, as opposed to what you did back in the day. Now we have a lot of coaches and trainers and fighters on here, people that are really into the hardcore boxing. So can you give us a little snapshot of what your day looked like when you were training at your peak?
Well, I didn't like the treadmill for years, but again, because it helps my knees, I use the treadmill. I walk. I don't run. I kind of walk, and
right.
That's great. The jumping rope, even the jump rope doesn't bother me. It's okay. It's okay. I don't do all this kind of stuff here, looking crazy. But I just maintain. I do weights, light weights, whereas that weights back in the day was a no-no.
Right.
But now, if you do it right, correctly, and for me, not heavy weights, but I do a lot of reps.
Yep.
And it maintains everything.
Yeah. So how does that compare to what you did 40 years ago?
Oh my gosh, night and day, night and day. But I loved it back in the day. I love it back in 40, 50. Oh my God.
I know.
I'm 64.
Counting the years.
I'm 64 years old, Doug. But it's I just love working out, man. I just love working out, no matter what, style or dimension or whatever the case may be.
Well, that's great. I think some fighters get their fill of it, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, ever.
Well, when I finally retired from boxing, the last thing I wanted to see was a punching bag. The last thing I wanted to see was a gym. The last thing I wanted to see was my trainer. But I miss that, man. I miss that. God, that's what's kept me in the shape I'm in now.
Mm-hmm. What do you miss most about it? The camaraderie, the competition,
the camaraderie. I miss the transformation. The transformation, because when I first began my training camp, and then about a month and a half later, it's night and day. I mean, I got a 6-pack. I got like a 2.5-pack now. I got a 6-pack. My arms are tight, and just my mind is sharp. Transformation. That is, I love it. I miss that.
Feel like you can conquer the world.
Absolutely. When I finished my training camp and was ready for the fight, I could beat anybody. In my mind, I could beat anybody, and that's what I miss about that transformation.
I noticed in your workouts, your home workouts, there's 2 pieces of equipment I want to touch on that are interesting. And I think I know the answers to this, but one is you wear a thinly padded bag glove, not a big bulky like a super bag glove. Yours is just a 1 layer of foam. Why do you choose that? Why is that your preference?
For me, it's all about feel, because I got relatively small hands, and I like that movement. I like to be free of that. I don't like all that padding, if you will.
Right.
Although it helps the opponent, or helps me, but I like that thin feel.
Yeah, you can feel you connect with the punches. You can feel that you're hitting accurately and perfectly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's a matter of feel for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes we lose some of the things over time. That piece of equipment, training ideals, principles. We lose them over time and don't realize what we're missing. We think we're evolving when actually we've dropped the ball and left something in the past.
Yeah, I mean, God, I can remember. I can go back in my head how it felt with Tommy Hearns, fighting Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. I mean, I can smell Duran's breath. If I can go back that far and that deep.
Yeah.
I could feel the punches. I mean, Duran threw punches. He threw a barrage of punches, and for a lightweight, a little guy, could withstand the weight of a welterweight, a solid welterweight. I can go back so vividly. I can go back even with Tommy Hearns, and how it felt and what I felt like. It was like when Muhammad Ali told me, he said, "Ray, when I fought Joe Frazier, it was the closest thing to death." And I was like, the death? So when I fought Durant, it was the closest thing to death. When I fought Tommy Hearns, the closest thing to death.
Right.
Benitez, same thing, down the road.
Yeah. Well, those things are so emotionally ingrained in you. I'm sure that sticks with you forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget those times and those moments and what I was thinking. What I was thinking in that ring. I never thought that I would lose.
Yeah.
But I knew at certain points in each fight I was losing. Mm-hmm. Fighters know, we know when we are losing.
Yeah. You don't need to hear it from the corner.
Yeah, exactly. No. You know, like with Angelo Dundee, against Tommy Hearns, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. That was a perfect soundbite. A perfect.
Yeah.
He said the right thing at the right time with the right tone of voice. Whereas my other trainers, I mean, they was like, oh, come on, more punches. And Angelo, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. And I heard it. Didn't need to hear anything else.
That was the honesty you needed at that moment.
The honesty, exactly, at that moment, yeah.
The other piece of equipment is the water bag. It's not your traditional fiber filled, but it kind of gives us your shots. Why that?
Well, the water bags are wonderful because it's like actually hitting the body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too solid. It's a feel. Again, it's a feel. For me personally, it's a feel. And again, I had bad hands,
right.
Particularly more so in my amateur career. But I used those water bags, and they were great. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I've always felt like anything you can do in training that replicates what you're going to feel, experience, do in the ring. If you do it in training, you're going to do it in the ring. You know?
Well, the only thing, I hear you with your point. The thing about doing it, it's repetition. It's like the same punches. But when you get in there, ring, let me tell you something. If you're not focused, and I call it tunnel vision, if you're not like this, just looking at your opponent and just feeling your opponent, because you're so nervous. I mean, and when I wasn't nervous, that's when I got in trouble.
Uh-huh.
That's when I got knocked down or punched around, because I didn't respect my opponent.
Yeah. Well, the nerves and the fear all bring with it all the good benefits of getting your adrenaline going, gets your mind sharp, the cortisol drops, you're in tune, you know, fight or flight. But
the thing, and like you're right, and the thing about it is the fact that when you're nervous, well, when I'm nervous, I'm more alert, and I'm waiting for, I can anticipate some punches coming out, so I'm prepared. It's hard to articulate, because you gotta feel it. You gotta.
Well, it's instinctual. It's hard to communicate when it's instinctual, when it comes natural.
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to go through your career here. I want to hit some of the high points, but I want to do it with visual flashcards. Okay. Although there's no pressure because you don't have a wrong answer for any of this. So I want to pop it up. You just give me your first impression, whatever comes to mind, a thought, a feeling, a backstory.
All right.
Whatever hits you. All right.
Okay.
See it?
You
remember that moment? Do you remember the fight?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And you have no headgear on. Why'd you choose to wear headgear? You gave the other guy, he's got headgear on, you don't. I thought it was...
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, brings back incredible memories, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
How old were you there? Any idea? Roughly?
20-ish, maybe, 20?
Yeah.
I don't know, 18, 19. I mean, I'll put it this way. I was younger than I am now.
Okay, so I want to ask you something, though, in relation to this, that you're obviously an amateur there. You admitted in your book, I think for the first time ever, you told a story about training for the 1972 Olympic team. And I want to touch on this because I think there's a little bit of a learning experience in here for viewers, the listeners. I don't want to spoil the story. Do you want to tell about you faked a collapse?
I was training for the 1972 Olympics, and I was trying to make weight. Mm-hmm. And making weight, actually, I was going to fight at I believe it was like 132. Mm-hmm. Lightweight. I think it was lightweight. Don't hold me to the weight class, but it was a weight class lower than I should have been, because when I won the Olympics, I was 140, right, 139, and I was trying to lose that weight, and it was killing me. It was killing me. I hadn't eaten in almost like 2 days, man. I could only take a sip of water. I was dehydrated. I was starving myself to make that weight. Mm-hmm. I was in training camp, and I was so weak. I was so lightheaded that one day, I remember vividly, I was running, doing some road work, and I felt weak, but I wasn't going to black out. But I felt like I blacked out because I couldn't go any further. That was the first time that I quit. I quit outside the ring. Right. And it bothered me so long, and it took me so long to admit that publicly. But now I'm talking about it because I don't want other young boxers to go through what I went through. If you can make the weight, fine. If you're 5-10 pounds overweight, okay, that's different. When you 15, 20, 30, I mean, that's when it gets a bit much. But I remember that, like it was yesterday. I remember running on the field, and I was thinking about this, about faking a collapse, faking a blackout. I was running, and then I just did it. And they said, "Oh my God, Ray blacked out. Ray fell out." And it hurt me so bad. It hurt me so emotionally, mentally, spiritually, so bad that I didn't tell anyone for years. But when I finally had the courage to talk about it, I felt better, because it was just, to me, it was almost like life and death trying to make that weight.
It gets to be, there's a point where it's a little extreme, especially now.
Exactly. At that point, it was a bit much. Mm-hmm. And I would advise any young boxer, if you can't make the weight, if you're 5 pounds, 10 pounds, that's a different story. But when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, it's like, it's not healthy, put it that way.
Your tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason I brought that up is I think some people would let that idea, you don't give up in boxing, and they let something like that define them. And you obviously didn't, because you then went on to the 76 Olympics, came back stronger, more mature, and won the gold medal. So
exactly. Yeah, it's because the Olympics, I was stronger. I had more experience. Oh yeah, it worked out. It worked its way out.
So let me ask you, at the end of each section, I want to ask you a quick tip, and you maybe already answered it, but fighters can be especially hard on themselves. Is there a trick to letting go of that mental baggage that you might be carrying, and it inevitably will hold you back?
The only thing I could do physically, or anyone can do physically, is to spiritually say, hey man, this is all on you, and it is. It's on the fighter. You have to block stuff out. You have to create, again, and I'm redundant with this, but it speaks volume. Tunnel vision. You gotta know what you're doing. And never give up, and just never give up, unless it's health threatening. But be optimistic, be positive, be positive. If you truly believe you can win the fight, win the fight.
Right.
You with me? If you truly believe you can win that fight, win the fight.
Just do it.
Do it. Just do it. Exactly. Just do it.
Going to photo number 2, which led up to that. That has to be
oh my Oh my
Bring
God!
back some memories.
Have your hands raised in the 1976 Olympics. There's no value on that moment. There's no price. There's nothing anyone can pay me to take that away from me. You know, it was one of those moments, those incredible, rare moments, because, you know, a lot of people can say I was world boxing champion. I was a flyweight champion. I was a middleweight champion. I was this champion. But when you say I was Olympic gold medalist,
right,
that's gold. Put it that way.
For life,
that's
right?
That's gold.
Yeah, that's for life. But they say you're an Olympian for life. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, the gold medal. I mean,
well, you did it against Andre Saldama, who was knocking everybody stiff up to that point. I mean, literally, guys were going down on stretchers, and nobody thought you could win.
No.
I mean, everybody was against you, and yet you dominated the fight.
When I would watch him fight, because I would go back to the what they call it, the boardroom or something like that, and watch replays of the previous fights. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting in that room. It was dark, and there was a huge screen TV or TV screen, whatever. And when this fight came on, and he just annihilated his opponent, and people in the audience, they didn't know I was there. They said, "Oh my God, he's gonna kill that guy. He's gonna kill that guy." Right? I'm like, "What?" I snuck out too. I creeped out of there.
Yeah, for real.
Because he was favored. Because he had annihilated everyone. I mean, sent guys out on stretchers.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. This guy was so strong, from Cuba, and Cuba has incredible fighters.
Right.
But I said, I could beat this guy. I can beat this guy. And it came to fruition with my style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you can only, I can't help you win. You have to believe you can win. You really have to believe you and have the tools.
Internal fortitude. So this podcast is actually going to come at a very special time. On July 31st, 44 years ago, is when you won the Olympic gold medal. You and along with 4 or 5 other guys, and 7 medals in total, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was five gold medals.
5 gold medals and 2 silver.
How many years ago you said it was?
44 years ago.
44 years. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Doesn't seem like that, does it?
It does not. It does not. It kind of put things in perspective, though.
Yeah.
And that moment was so special. God. Wow, it was incredible. Incredible.
I mean, a historical Olympic team, probably. I mean, you could argue the best in history, based on the competition, and that there was a full roster of all the countries were there. It was something phenomenal. I mean, it hasn't been done since.
Well, the competition was at its best. The amateur competition was at its best. And wow, I mean, that's one of my most cherished moments in my life. Yeah, no question about that.
So quick tip, boxers face many hurdles, a lot of ups and downs. How do you work to overcome self-doubt? Like in that situation, you know, nobody said you could win, and yet you turned it on.
Because I first of all, I had the experience now, because back in the day when I was coming up as an amateur boxer, I fought all over the world, Russia, and Germany, and Cuba. I mean, all over the world. So I gained so much experience that 4 years prior to the Olympics. Whereas at 1972, I wasn't as experienced.
Right.
That experience, it was so important. It was priceless. That experience that I gained from fighting globally, internationally.
Right.
I miss those moments.
So a lot of it was the physical and mental experience.
Physical and mental experience.
Good. All right, let's move on to the next one. You'll like this one.
Dave Jacobs, this is my first amateur training. Yeah. Wow, this is bring back so many incredible memories.
Yep.
Because I remember we were training in a basketball court in Palmer Park, Maryland, and we would go and jab from one part of the side of the court to the other. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday because that was the first punch. Jab, 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 and he said that this jab, is the most important punch in boxing.
There you go.
And he was so right.
Yeah.
The most important punch is the jab. Step in with the jab. Step in with the jab.
Now, although Dundee got a lot of he was the higher profile guy. It was Dave Jacobs, Jenks Morton, and Pepe Carrera that did the bulk of the workload, right? In the gym.
Yes. I mean, I started with Dave Jacobs, who was just my trainer and my friend. Jenks Morton, my trainer, my mentor, friend. Mike Trainer, my friend, my business partner. Pepe Carrera, we go way back. Same thing, trainer and friend. I mean, we there was something very special about each one of those guys that made me who I am.
Right. They all brought something to the equation.
Yes.
Something unique.
Yes.
So, quick tip. Some fighters change trainers a lot. Dave Jacobs was the one mainstay throughout your entire career. To you, what is the value of having somebody like that knows you from the beginning in your corner, even as you evolve as an athlete?
Well, first of all, you have someone who really cares about you unconditionally. You have a real person, real friend, individual who's also an asset to you. All the people that, knock on wood, thank God, all the people that was in my camp, that was in my circle, that was a part of my career, that was a blessing. And because a lot of fighters, unfortunately, professional fighters, they get taken advantage of.
Yeah. Well, who you surround yourself with is crucial.
And the thing, it is crucial, but sometimes you don't know who that person is. You know?
Yeah.
It's especially, put it this way, boxing. I always felt that boxing was just a poor man's sport. And you made the most out of it. But when you have good people, good, honest people, it makes it even more. It makes it even better, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it's one less thing you have to worry about and focus on other than fighting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's go to this man who you already spoke about, but
Jay. Angelo Dundee was just, the reason I selected Angelo Dundee was because when I left the Olympics, I had no intention of being a professional fighter anyway.
Right.
So I was going to go to the University of Maryland because they gave me a scholarship and I was going to further my education, get a good job, and life goes on. But my dad, I remember like it was yesterday, my dad went to a coma. His health was bad. We had no money. My mother's crying, my siblings crying, I'm crying. And I asked my mentor, Jenks Morton, I said, Jenks, how can I make fast money? He said, turn pro. I didn't give it a second thought. I turned pro with just the understanding that I could make fast money and help pay the bills for my dad, which did happen like that.
Yeah.
And then he regained his health. Wow, man, it just was meant to be.
So why Dundee? I mean, he was a great motivator, right?
But I didn't really need motivation. All he said, get Angelo Dundee. He has the right connection and the right complexion. he said that masterfully. But I was so happy to have Angelo Dundee in my corner. It was some major asset.
Yeah, and he did a bulk of the matchmaking, right?
Yes, he did.
And that in itself is an art. I mean, you gotta know how to maneuver a guy. You got to be able to look at a guy's strengths. And I think he was very good about putting you in with guys that helped you build certain aspects of your game. He'd pick a guy that had a lot of speed but no power. He'd pick a guy that was maybe a veteran and had a lot of experience but was maybe a little bit over the hill. And slowly you gained all of these different tools in your belt that you could use to get you to the world title.
Well, that's the way you develop a fighter. That's the way you develop a fighter to eventually become champion. But it's not that easy, but that's the way you go.
Yeah.
And make sure you win your first fight. My first fight was Louis the Bull Vega. And Louis was about that, maybe that tall.
Right.
With a hat on. But he was tough.
Yeah.
Wouldn't go down. Tough chin. But he made me fight. He made me, he made me fight.
He pushed you. He got you ready. He got you into the 4-round game.
Yeah,
into the pros,
it's a whole different mindset when you go from fighting 3-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds to fighting 4-minute rounds. I mean 4-minute rounds, then 5 rounds, then 6 rounds, and then 8 rounds, and 10 rounds. It's a big difference. Big difference.
It's a little bit of a leap. So, although he did the bulk of the matchmaking and the strategy, how much of it did you leave up to the team, and how much of it did you? This is your quick tip. How much did you leave up to the team, and how much of it research did you do on your own, as far as maybe watching fights, or like you said, you watched Aldama while he was fighting. Did you do some of your own kind of intel?
Yeah, I mean, once I found out who I was fighting and if there was some videotape on them, I would get that, or he would send me that, and I would study, see, because I tend to choreograph the fight, and what's his weak points, what's his strong points, to counterpunch, to utilize the ring. I mean, all these things were factors in me approaching my opponent.
Yeah, interesting. All right, we'll go on to photo number 6 here. That one you probably vividly remember.
Wilfred Benitez. Wilfred Benitez became champion at the tender age of 17. He was that good. This kid.
Incredible.
This kid. I'm calling people kids now, so you know him. But he was so incredible. And he taught me about mental stability, because he stared me down and in the ring, we stand in the middle of the ring, and we was like standing nose to nose.
Mm-hmm.
And he won that round because I was biting on my mouthpiece, and I almost chewed through it. I was so mad at him, just the way he was looking at me. He was so nonchalant, but so cool. He was in control.
Yeah. Until
the bell rung. But it was one of my toughest fights. In fact, after that fight, which I stopped him in the 15th, I had to go to the hospital for dehydration.
Really?
Because I fought from the heart. I beat him from the heart. He had the experience, but I just had a little bit more oomph to because once I get a guy hurt, I'm able to finish him off.
Let me touch on that. There's a phrase in business and war that's called the decisive point. And it's that point in time when you can see in your opponent that they're giving up the negotiation, that they're giving it in to you. And it's also on you to decide, am I going to close the show, or am I going to make a silent agreement to kind of let them hang in there and just put it on them a little bit? So was there a point in that fight where that decisive point came in and you were like, I got him. He's ready to go. He's looking for a soft place to land.
I knocked him down I think it was 8th round, 7th round. It's funny how we forget these things all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. But he had this ability to kind of reset himself. He'll get up from knockdown, and he's smart. He was quick, and he never showed a sign of giving up.
Right.
And he was so fast, just super fast. And I never missed so many punches in with Duran too. I missed a lot of punches with the first Duran fight, and with Wilfred Benitez, I missed so many punches, and when you miss a punch, my point is, if you miss punches and you start, that gets you so tired.
Yeah,
when you miss
it takes more out of you than landing.
It takes more. Yeah, it takes more out of you than landing those punches. And but I wanted to win I wanted to win more than he did. Put it that way.
So you didn't know until you got him.
Yeah, until I got him. Because again, when I hurt my opponents, I normally get them out of there.
Mm-hmm. You were a great finisher.
Yeah, I can finish a guy off.
So a quick tip, the fight was also a good example of concentration and focus, and you could never lapse in that fight. You had to be on 100% of the time. Is that something you can hone in the gym? How do you get to that point where you're so that tunnel vision? How do you get there?
That's just experience. That's just being active. When I turned pro, I have 2 fights a month sometimes every now and then 3 fights. I mean, I stayed so active, which is a key component of being a better fighter. Because you stay active, you stay out there, you gain this experience. That's such a benefit to a fighter.
Well, you wonder, right, in our current situation, how that's going to affect all these fighters that have maybe not been active and are definitely not active while all this is going on. What impact is that going to have on boxing and these careers?
It's huge. That inactivity is such a factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because everything is done, you say, all right, you'll fight here, then you'll fight 6 months later. And when that schedule is turned, or the calendar is turned off or turned whacked out, it hurts that fighter. It hurts that fighter. Because especially when you're younger, you're trying to learn, trying to get as much experience as you possibly can. That's very important.
Yeah. And you get to set your sights on what's next. Right now,
What's
everybody's
next?
like, I don't know what's next.
Yeah, and we don't know what's next, unfortunately. But yeah.
All right, next flashback. First title defense.
Is that Davey Boy Green?
That is Davey Boy Green.
Yeah. This is so funny. I think I mentioned it in the book, or I mentioned it somewhere. And I knew David. I knew David in the amateurs.
Yeah.
And what was happening, because again, I was a favorite. I was a big favorite. I wasn't as let's say pumped up. I wasn't as excited. So I got in shape. I was in tremendous shape, but up here I wasn't like challenged. And what happened in the ring, we got in the ring, he kind of growled at me, and it made me mad. It made me mad the way he did it. So that's what clicked me to say, I'm gonna get you out of there. You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
he helped
me. Yeah.
Davey, he helped me. Davey,
now you can say it.
We'll talk. Yeah. But I told Davey, I said, Davey, you know what, man? I said, going into that fight, man, I wasn't as motivated until you growled at me. I said, that's what caused outcome.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear, yeah. It really was. It really was. He growled at me, and that's what I needed. I needed that.
Yeah.
He made me mad.
One of the most, into the 4th round, you fired off a combination that's one of the most vicious in boxing, certainly in your career.
When I hit Davey, I was scared because the punch was perfect, and it was left hook that I caught him. It
was a left hook.
Put him down, and I was excited and running around the ring, but then I looked over at him, and then I was like, wow. And then when I saw him, I was okay. Yeah.
You said it. You have one of probably the most underrated left hooks in boxing. I mean, you ended so many fights with that thing. I'd love every coach and fighter to go back after this and look at your fights and watch how well timed and delivered you use that left hook.
Well, that was one of my favorite. My favorite punch was the left hook. Also to the body, punch to the body. But it was an effective punch for me.
Yeah.
And my jab. Yeah.
Jab is key, right?
Yeah.
Gil Clancy once said that after a fighter wins a title, he automatically improves 20%, just because he no longer has to think he's capable. It's proven that he's capable. Did you feel anything like that fight? A difference between leading up to and winning?
Yeah. I mean, winning the fight, it's such a. It's like someone say, "All right, you won the lottery.
Yep.
You won the lottery. You're it. You're the man now. You're the man now. You're the champ." And sometimes that can be a negative.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
You can take the edge off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing, it's like when I fought Duran. I look at Duran like, first of all, he's a lightweight. He's a lightweight. He can't beat me. And I was such a favorite too to beat him anyway.
Yeah.
But those, again, that's all about experience.
Yeah.
It's all about experience.
Yeah. Well, my quick tip was most important punch, and you already answered that.
Well, again, the jab, jab, because the reason I say that is that your jab gets you closer because you got it close, and the jab keeps your opponent off balance and whatever. And it also depends on how much you use it. But the jab for me, and young boxers should try this. Use that jab as much as you can.
When all else fails, jab.
Jab. Always fail the jab.
All right, this shot shows just. I'm gonna get out of the frame here a little bit so you can see it really good.
Is that Roberto?
That is.
That fight taught me more than any of my fights.
Yeah.
Duran got into my head. Although it was in Spanish, he was speaking, but he used hand language, and he said, "You're the maricon and this and that." He called me all these names, and he would look at my wife and say something that wasn't nice, and I was mad. And as a man, I was like, "I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you." And the thing I thought about, I said, "I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you with your style and knock you out." All of a sudden, that goes into my head,
mm-hmm.
and I can't get it out. I cannot get it out. So the first round, I did a little bit of boxing, but the second, third round, I started trying to fight him toe to toe. Duran hit me so hard. I looked around and said, "Who else is in this damn ring?" He hit that hard. They call him manos de piedra, hands of stone.
Yeah.
He hit me with some punches. Yeah. Unbelievable. And he's smart, and he was even a better boxer than he was a slugger. But he made me slug. He took me out of my game plan. I simply have to say that. He beat me here.
But you learned a valuable lesson from that, right? That you then implemented in all of your fights after that. That ability to intimidate and create advantages before you even get in the ring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I should talk trash. I was in control with him because of the. I couldn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
He said things. He was able to talk to me, and I couldn't come back with him. I couldn't come back.
Yeah. That would be a disadvantage too.
Yeah.
Lack of ability to communicate.
Yeah, but again, we're friends now. We're good friends.
Yeah.
But he used sign language. I mean, he showed. I understood what he was saying.
And symbols. Yeah. That kind of sign language.
Yeah.
All right.
But man, that's in fact, I'm glad you. In fact, I contemplated retirement after that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said no one's going to hit me like this again.
Yeah. Well, ain't nobody had hit you like that before.
No.
I mean,
no,
you've never been rocked or stumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else do you have?
We got
Tommy.
Did I give you nightmares?
Tommy
Did
Hearns.
I give you nightmares a little bit?
You know, I just spoke to Tommy yesterday.
Oh yeah.
We keep in contact. Yeah, I just spoke with him yesterday, and I don't know. Tommy said, "Ray," he said, "now you won one fight. I won one fight.
Oh geez.
It needs to be a third fight." I said, "Excuse me." I said, "Tommy, no one's gonna hit my face anymore except my wife."
But overall, he was the most well-rounded, difficult opponent for you, right? I mean, hands down.
Hands down. You know, Tommy Hearns, first of all, he was a freak of nature. He was 6'2", 6'3", whatever. And his speed was amazing. Knockout power in both hands. He was a better boxer than given credit for when he used it. But Tommy's problem was the fact that if you hit Tommy hard, he's going to try to hit you harder, hit you back harder.
Uh-huh.
He has that mentality. I'm going to get you back, as opposed to just using his tools, which is good for me, but still. Tommy, oh my gosh.
Well, that mentality comes from gym wars, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get used to doing that in the gym where nobody's ever going to get one up on me, and you get in that rhythm.
Into that mode. But Tommy, wow, he just... And the thing about it, when he started outboxing me, I was like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Yeah.
Well, you said a freak of nature. It's true. Have you ever seen the video of him sparring Muhammad Ali? I mean, who does that? I mean, it was late in Ali's career, but he looked like he could have contended with him.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
As a welterweight.
Welterweight.
Let me show you one more picture from that fight.
That was the first round.
That was your response to him hitting you after the bell.
Exactly. I think like I was. It's one of those things that take place instinctively. I mean, it just intuitively. It just happens. And I'm thinking, because you gotta be quick on what's next, and because it's a story that has yet to be told. Yeah. And we're halfway there.
Yeah.
But
that's part of that mental warfare. Tommy had never had anybody stand up to him and take a shot before.
Exactly.
Everybody was getting knocked out. So that had to at least a small bit play into his head and go, okay, this is going to be a long night.
Tommy was a smart fighter. The thing with Tommy, but the smart thing about Tommy also used the crowd too, because in the first fight, he was winning. He was winning. And again, that's when Angelo Dundee said, "You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it." And it was so hot in that ring, and I was exhausted. I was tired. My arms. God, it was one of those rare moments that it takes everything that you have to win that fight.
Yeah. Everything you've learned up to that point.
Yeah.
And experienced.
Yeah. He in the first fight, he never hurt me. He never ever rocked. He may rock me, but never hurt me. Had me on Quill Street.
Right.
No, he never hurt me. The second fight, a whole different story.
I don't think we're going to go there. I don't think I have that picture.
I don't think we have time.
We talked about this, but I got to show it because it's such an iconic shot. It's such an iconic moment.
Yeah, because in the gym when I was sparring, my left eye, right eye, I got swollen, left eye, and we said, well, the trainer says, we should postpone this fight. I said, no, because I'm never going to get in this, not just a physical shape, but mental shape like this again. I was just, because training camp is all about timing. It's all about peaking the right time, peaking that fight night. You peak. Yeah. And that was my bread and butter, to peak at the right moment, that right night. Be ready to fight. Be ready to withhold your your belt, championship.
You know, that moment also was key in that I've always said that the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter is their ability to adapt. And I'm not talking about just like you did between the first Duran fight and the second, but also just mid-fight, changing your game plan and say, this isn't working. I got to try something else. Oh, wait, that's not working. Okay, I got to try something else again.
That happens. It happens. That's not rare. That happens all the time. You get in the ring and all of a sudden there's a different angle or whatever, different style or whatever, and you have to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, even a plan D. If it comes to that, you'll figure a way instinctively.
If you want it, you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
And it is instinctual too. It's not something you can plan for in advance and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. If this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If that happens, it has to come natural. And
it comes natural. It comes natural because you're in that ring, and you don't really know how you're going to feel with the audience, with the crowd, with the fans. It's just being in that ring with that particular guy, that particular champion.
Yeah.
Whew, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different ballgame. You miss it.
One final one from you. Do miss that, right? But you miss, and I probably have this later on, but you talk a lot of fighters talk about retiring and missing the limelight and the money and all that. You've said on several occasions you miss that competition. You miss that mano a mano, the combat, the figuring that guy out and that aspect of it.
I miss the camaraderie. Yes, I miss the contesting, competing against the other great guy, dealing with, I like the press conferences and what have you, talking trash, just kind of reading minds, the transformation of the body and the mind. It's all those things combined that makes it hard to leave the ring.
Dude, yeah.
I should have left the ring after Hagler, but that's not who I am. What makes me tick is doing the impossible.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Most people thought I had no chance. In fact, I would get hurt so badly against Hagler, rightfully so, because back then I was doing everything from the drinking and experimenting with the drugs, and back in the day with cocaine in the 80s, and I was retired. But man, that's deep.
It's a little bit addictive, right? I mean, that conquering the mountain.
Especially when you beat the odds. When you beat the odds, when you had your hands raised and you're jubilant, and you beat the odds. There's nothing better than that. And people say, all right, you have the money, you get the fame. It's at a certain point, it's not even about that. It's about beating the odds.
It's about the feeling.
It's about the feeling. Yeah, it's the feeling, and you won't feel good about yourself until you understand that, until you let go of it, or not just let go, but just you've had your day in the sun.
Yeah. So, quick tip: how somebody used again, freak of nature. How do you take the jab away from somebody like Tommy who's a natural long range puncher?
How it's almost impossible, but what you do, because I had speed was a factor, and Tommy's jab was like someone's power punch. I mean, Tommy's jab was a weapon. It was so strong and quick, and because of his style, because of his experience, because of his power, you got to be on guard at all times. The whole time you're in that ring, you got to always be on guard. The only guys that beat Tommy are the guys who can eventually catch him off guard, hurt him, and take advantage of it. It's Tommy was a beast in that ring.
He's a puzzle to figure out.
Puzzle, yeah.
And just that, the size, the power, everything. Right.
Puzzle, yeah.
Photo number 10.
I don't remember that.
Well, that was okay. That was the first time you'd ever been knocked out, except against what's his name?
Kevin Howard.
Kevin Howard.
Yeah. You know the thing about it, and we chose Kevin Howard for my comeback fight because Kevin Howard never was in shape. He was never ever in tip-top shape until
your fight.
Because I saw him at the press conference. I said, "Hey man," I tapped on the shoulder. "Hey man," and it felt like rocks. His shoulders. I said, "What have you been doing?" Right. He said, "I've been training." I said, "You train too hard." And in the fight, in the actual fight, because I was a heavy favorite. In the fight, he was hitting me, he was jabbing, and I was like, "Wow, this stuff don't feel good." And then when he put me down, I was like, "Well, I wasn't hurt. I was more embarrassed in it than anything."
Yeah.
But he woke me up. Kevin Howard woke me up, and that's when I knew that the next fight, because I retired that same night. I retired after Kevin Howard. Yeah. But when I came back to fight Hagler, people said, "What?" People thought I was crazy. And so you come back. You ever had a fight in 5 years and you're going to fight Hagler? And I said, yes. I said, well, who's the tune-up fight? Because normally, if you've been inactive, you always fight what they call a tune-up fight, a fight that you get the rust off.
Yeah.
I said, Hagler. I said, no, well, we know you're fighting Hagler, but who's your tune-up fight? Hagler is. And they didn't quite understand that Hagler, because I was afraid when he put fear in my heart, because if I wasn't right, I'm knocked out. I'm gone.
Right.
And that's what it was with me. It was more mental than physical with that.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say the only guy that knocked you down before that was Dickie Eklund, right?
Yeah. Dick. Oh,
was that legit?
And even with Dick Eklund, and Dick was. I love Dick because Dick was. He didn't. I mean, when I did funny things, he'll do it. I mean, he was comical too. When he knocked me down, it didn't hurt. It was just what they call a flash flood knockdown. Just like when you get hit up on the side of the temple, you go down. Most people go down. But he did rock me though. He did rock me. He was awkward. He was just unorthodox.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid.
Well,
unfortunately.
Yeah. A little crazy.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It was crazy. Dick was crazy. It was crazy. And I loved him. I said, man. I said, you were like that close, man, from beating me, man. He said,
You don't want to hear that. Don't tell me that.
No.
Hard to live with. So I remember after the Kevin Howard fight, you said every punch hurt. Yep. So what was the difference between that fight and the Hagler fight? Because after the Hagler fight, you said that was relatively easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I hate using the word easy because it's taken out of context. Because easier. Let's say
easier than what you had maybe envisioned in your head.
Yeah, but it's tough. I mean, you can't just fight Hagler. You just can't get in the ring with Hagler. But the thing about it is like guys like with Hagler, who was a major punch. He never hurt me. Donnie Lalonde, when I fought for light heavyweight Jim, he hurt me every time he hit me, every time he touched me. Marcus Geraldo, this was in Louisiana, I think. Willie Barba Rodriguez, my second professional fight.
Uh-huh.
He hurt me so bad, so many times. Really? I mean, even Wolf Benitez rocked me. And there's a big difference between rocking. When you get rocked, I mean, that means you get knocked off balance or whatever. Right. But when you get hit and hurt, that's a different story. That's like,
get buzzed a little bit versus actually
buzzed. There you go.
Losing your legs.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You've done this before, right?
A little bit. So,
but that's
what's that?
No, go ahead. Tell me.
You and actually during that fight, you impacted boxing equipment history because although thumbless gloves were around, they weren't common. They weren't common. And when I say thumbless, they were a little bit different than where the thumb was actually attached to the fist and not just attached to the thumb portion of the glove. But and now you wouldn't enter in a sparring session, let alone a professional fight, without wearing thumb gloves with the thumb attached.
Yeah, I mean, because that thumb, if you will, has destroyed a lot of potential great fighters.
Right.
Because you get poked, and it happens. It happens. It happens more than we anticipate or we think.
Right.
It does happen.
Well, and you said, I think that you think you were dealing with detached retina issues early on in your career against when you fought Marcos Geraldo. So that had been something that had slowly progressed throughout that point in your career on.
Yeah, I mean, again, it happened in the gym, but there's been time. I mean, come on, I've been a fighter almost nearly 50 years. So how many times have I been poked in the eye?
Yeah,
thousands of times. But never, knock on wood, never really was a problem.
Right.
But it's a buildup. I think it's like
over time.
Oh yeah.
Decades.
Decades.
So quick tip, when you find yourself in that situation with your butt on the canvas in life or in the ring, how do you mentally get back into the fight? Is that something you can prepare for?
The thing about it, as I get up, right away if you're hurt. And the times that I've been knocked down, I've never been hurt. I never was in trouble.
Really?
So I was conscious.
You were never I don't.
Yeah, I didn't get up and lose my equilibrium and my balance or whatever. But I got up, but I realized where I was, and that guy across the ring is going to come. He's coming to finish me off.
Yeah.
So I was aware of all that. That's amazing because you know what that guy's coming to do. He's trying to finish you off.
Yeah. Right.
And knock on wood, thank God I had the durability to hang in there. Yeah. I was never put in that serious trouble.
Right. Yeah. That's a blessing.
I miss those. I miss that. I miss that feel.
Yeah. Of being on the spot.
Being on the spot and rising up and changing the table. Change what happened.
Right.
He knock you down, then you get up, you knock him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my competitive nature.
Which is you're born with.
Born with,
yeah?
Yes.
Order number 11.
Hagler, 87.
Classic.
Oh yeah. I was so ready for that fight. And the thing about it, like 5 days before the fight, I got hit by one of my sparring partners.
I was
nearly knocked out. Oh my God.
And that changed how you approached that fight, right? I mean, you were going to go in there and kind of trade with Hagler a little bit, right? And you decided, well, maybe that's not the best course of action.
Yeah, it's one of those things that take, because I was looking so good, I was feeling so good. And when I got hit by my sparring partner, I was like, whoa, what does it mean? I mean, seriously hurt. In fact, he pulled back. He actually stopped punching hard.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that?
Come on.
Do you remember?
Yeah. But,
was it Quincy Taylor?
Yes, Quincy Taylor. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Quincy Taylor, who was a great fighter.
Well, you ended up managing him, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was a powerful puncher. And when he rocked me, and thank you, Quincy. Thank you, my friend. Quincy didn't hit me harder anymore. He just started hitting me to the body. Because he knew I was out. I was going out if he had hit me again.
Yeah. Well, that's a good sparring partner.
Yeah.
In the Hagler fight, I want to go back to the outsmarting your opponent, the strategy aspect. Even as early as the negotiating stages of the game, you gave Hagler the lion's share of the money, right? But you selected gloves with the attached thumb, a smaller ring, What else?
A larger ring. A larger ring.
A larger ring. Yep. So that they had to have walked away from the negotiating table going, wait, what just happened here? So they were already mentally played with.
They
didn't get it.
If that was me, if I was on opposite side, and I would have said, yeah, give him 20, a 20 by 20 or a 50 by 50 ring. Doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I was exploring back in the day, the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And they've seen me out there with, and because a lot of my friends are guys, sports writers and commentators and things like that. And we hang out. I was hanging out with all the guys.
Uh-huh.
And we were being naughty. So they said, no way, Ray.
Right.
No way. I mean, how can you win? So what I did, I said, all right, let's go 12 rounds. Let's go 12 rounds. And I can go 50. I can win 15 rounds, but why not 12 rounds?
Right.
And because to make more money, yeah, he accepted it. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
What's three additional rounds? No big deal.
Yeah.
Because no one thought I was going 5 rounds.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you used this from the onset, and then you talked about when you got in the ring, you tested the waters to see if Hagler was intimidated or not. You said you maybe danced a little bit too close to him to see if he would move. If he moved, yes. You knew you had him. If he didn't, you'd be like, oh.
No, I kept saying, I say, during each press conference, I said, yeah, guys, I don't know how you guys can disrespect Hagler. Hagler's a better boxer you guys give him credit for. You just look at him as being a slugger, a puncher. And I kept planting that seed. I kept saying that at each press conference. And then the last press conference, he was at the podium. He said, you know what? I may surprise everybody. I may outbox Ray. I said, I got him.
Yeah.
And it was I didn't think it would work, but it did work, because he came out. If you go back and watch the fight, when the first round rung, bing, my heart said bing. Because, I trained hard in the gym, but didn't know, what I had.
What's going to happen fight time, yeah.
What's going to happen fight time.
Yeah.
And I threw a jab, and I hit him. I said, this thing still works. It still works. And that gave me so much, every round gave me more and more confidence.
Well, and you said, getting back to that, you said, I was having fun using psychological warfare. I never said anything to piss him off or make him dislike me.
No, exactly.
Fighters like Hagler and Duran must create aggression to get motivated and train hard. If I never activated that, he couldn't feed off of it.
Yeah, because I would say, Hagler is the greatest heavyweight. And I meant that too. But so he couldn't get up there and say, Ray's an asshole. He couldn't get to the podium and say, Ray's an asshole. And he did.
Reciprocating.
He did.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't want to hear this now.
Right.
Sure. But that's what it took.
Yeah.
No one can beat Hagler toe to toe. You can't beat Marvelous Marvin Hagler like Tommy Harris did.
The strongest guy you ever fought? Strongest, do you think?
He was just
immovable.
He was just solid. He was solid.
Yeah.
Has he ever been knocked down? I've never seen him knocked down.
He was knocked down against Juan Roldan.
Juan Roldan. Really?
Juan Roldan. Yeah.
Yeah. Hurt?
No. I don't think we'd ever seen him hurt.
I've never seen him hurt.
It was a flash knockdown,
Yeah, and also, when Hagler fought Roberto Duran, I called that fight with HBO, and after the fight, Roberto Duran came over to where I was in the broadcasting area. He said, "Ray, you fight him, you box him, you beat him." He's told me that. And that was one of the reasons I decided to fight.
That's all you needed to hear.
Yeah, I heard that.
Well, he'd been there and done that, and gave Hagler all he could handle.
Yeah, it was just wow. It's more. So there is a sweet science to the sport of boxing. There's a sweet science.
Well, and I think that's where I'm going with all this is that mental that mental warfare is, it's not about brawn, it's about brains is a huge part of it.
Yeah, it's for longevity.
Yes,
Well,
that's for sure.
The thing
everybody
about
said if he gets Ray against the ropes, it's over. But as soon as you got to the ropes, you were dominant. You fired back and created probably one of the most epic 3 minutes in boxing history.
Oh, that we just. But I told my guy, Ollie Dunlap, I said, Ollie, 30 seconds before the bell ring, yell 30 seconds. Because what would happen, I would throw combinations. And that will be what the judges remembered. That last round. What happened? And I did that. So it was less physical and more mental.
Right. Now, during that fight, you consistently held Hagler behind the head, even though Dundee said grab him around the shoulders. I think I know, but why did you take that risk of having a point deducted by continuing to hold him around the head?
That was instinctive. I didn't think about, well, I'm gonna grab his head. I just survival.
Natural. Yeah.
It's survival. It's a survival instinct. You just grab the guy. Yeah, if the guy's pounding you against ropes, you're gonna do like this.
Right.
not likely. You grab.
Yeah. And that was just the most easiest way to control him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
Pretty good. Heater is up and running.
Okay.
All right.
I'm doing an interview right now.
Sorry.
All good.
All good. But it's my friend there. That's my friend.
Okay.
Oh, come here, real quick.
He got us.
Introduce yourself.
Don't be camera shy. We're good.
Hello.
Put your head down so you can see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
That's my guy.
Good.
Okay.
Welcome to the podcast.
I'm the winner.
He didn't know he was going to make a cameo. He should have worn his title shirt.
He's on TV. No, I got cookie.
One more from this fight.
First of all, I was so exhausted. I was so tired.
Very happy there. Hagler looks a little angry at you at that point.
Well, he's not sure. He's not sure. He's not sure what's going to happen. What's the final score?
Yeah.
Fighters know. We know when we lost the fight. It's like me and Tommy Hearns, the second fight. Tommy won that fight. As far as I'm concerned, he won that fight. He should have got the decision.
You told me.
It's one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember in that fight. Back to Angelo. I remember he said at the in between the 11th and 12th round, he said 3 minutes, champion, deep breath, and you jumped off your stool and was like, yeah. That's one of those moments. It's like he's a great motivator. He said right at that moment what you needed to hear that you would come out and take those final 3.
That's what I'm saying. Angelo had those sound bites. He says the right thing at the right time. That's all he had to say to me.
Yeah.
And but that, those are moments in my life and my career that stand out pretty big.
Right. All right, final fight we're going to cover here.
Holy cow. I should have realized he was bigger than me back then.
He was huge. And you came to the weigh-in, though, again, back to the mental aspect. You came to the weigh-in with silver dollars in your warm-up suit, right? Just to give the impression that you were heavier. And then you came into the ring with a Matador jacket on with the shoulder pads to, again, give the illusion that, okay, Lon figured he had somebody significant and size-worthy in front of him.
Because what was happening, when I was training for that fight, my weight wouldn't go no further than 56. My weight was, I was too light. I was too light in training camp. Yeah. So that was a concern. But it was comfortable because I didn't have to make weight. Right. Making weight with fighters, that's sometimes tougher than the fight. Trying to make that weight.
The fight before the fight, yeah.
Fight before the fight.
Yeah. Our last photograph here.
Oh, yeah. And again, Lalon hit me so hard, I went down, and he came at me with one thing in mind, to take me out, but he kind of punched himself out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He incredible power, just strong, just a strong guy.
I still find that whole story fascinating, that you had that premonition before the fight. I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson had the same thing happen to him against, I believe his name was Robert Doyle.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
he ended up dying in the ring. But what is it? How does that weigh on you going into the fight, going into the rounds, and how does it? Once that happened, was it a load off or?
Automatically, it's like when you not, because in my dream I visualized myself being knocked down. So in the fight, I think it was the fourth round he knocked me down. I don't know, fourth
or fifth. I can't remember.
Yeah, fourth or fifth, whatever. And then boom, I go down. Then I said, okay, that's it. And then he came at me, and he was throwing big punches, but he was missing the punch. And I was hitting to the body, and that's when I noticed when I hit him to the body, it was like, oh, that was like a soft spot.
Yeah.
But it was a fight, and I was so exhausted, so tired, but I just kept fighting.
Yeah.
But when I got him hurt, I got Donnie hurt, I could throw a lot of punches. I could throw combinations,
yeah,
as opposed to throwing one punch.
Yeah.
Something in my mind or my heart, I would just let go of my hands until it's over.
And again, it's that killer instinct, that
killer instinct,
ability to end a fight when you saw that opening, so that it didn't just drag on.
Yeah.
Or give them a chance to come back.
You see that? That's what I miss about boxing. I miss the camaraderie. And we're friends. I mean, I'm friends with 90% of the guys.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great.
Well, sharing the ring with somebody gives you a certain appreciation, respect for them that is reciprocated, I think,
Right. Yeah. It's fun. It's been an incredible journey for me.
We've had an amazing career. I mean, and I got to ask you about this, about all the times you've come back. Now we're seeing Tyson, Holyfield, Jones, De La Hoya, all talking about the comeback and doing it again on whatever level, if it's an exhibition or an actual full-on fighting. What's your take on this new craze that's coming out? Are we nostalgic and we want to see these guys come out and we're encouraging it, or is it the allure of social media, or what do you feel opens the door for this?
It's nothing new. Actually, it's nothing.
It's not.
I'm a professional comebacker. No, but hey, I can't. I'm the last person that I can even ask about this, because I came back. I think I hold the record for the most comeback.
Yeah. Right.
But I understand what they're doing. I understand what they feel, and as long as no one gets hurt, I'm okay with that. Put it this way, I'll be there. I'll be at ringside.
Right. I know. Well, me too. I think everybody will. Just just different, Something new and exciting to see Tyson and Jones back in the ring again.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Should be a fun card. You said once you have to have an ego to be successful. You remember saying that?
Yep, but I missed one word. I missed not including one word. You must have a control ego.
Yeah.
Control ego.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Ego is good. Yeah. But you have a control ego.
Nice. A couple more questions. What fight, what moment in Sugar Ray Leonard's prime do you think, or did you think, no welterweight in history could have beaten me that night? What was that key moment in all of your fights that you was like, that was quintessential Sugar Ray Leonard?
Unfortunately, it's just not one of those fights. But if there is one, I can get Tommy Hearns, our first Tommy Hearns fight. That required so much of me. That required so much of me.
Yeah.
but then again, it's not fair and it's not right that I don't include Wilfred Benitez, Hagler, Duran. It's Lalonde. I mean, it's like they all get their props.
Well, and you had so many successes and back and forth, ups and downs with all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because to those fights and what they transmitted to me personally. I mean, it was like I had to outthink the guy, had to out punch the guy, I had to outlive the guy, and it requires so much. It's like when Muhammad Ali said, "I fought Joe Frazier, close thing to death." These fights were the same thing. The same thing it was that close, and then I was able to prevail with with power, with skill, with heart, and with this. Always this.
Yeah. Well, and you left us with classics because of that. Sugar Ray Robinson said, "To be a champion, you have to believe in yourself when nobody else will."
Right.
Your story, your life, your success, your comebacks, it's given everybody reason to believe in themselves.
Well, that's what what I love. I do motivational speaking, and I use it. I said, and believe in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. It's such a lesson in life, because life is a fight, like what we're dealing with now.
It is.
This coronavirus is a fight. It really is a fight.
Parallel.
And we gonna need a great corner to eradicate it.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, Ray, it's been great sharing this time with you. Thanks for being our initial podcast guest. I feel like we've scored a 90-second knockout by having you as our kickoff. Really appreciate your time. Blessings and health to you, Bernadette, your family. And from all of us at Title, listeners, viewers, we want to thank you for all you've done for the sport, for being a humble warrior, and all the ways you keep giving back. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And I may come back against you.
I already know you already officially announced on Twitter that you're not coming back, so I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to make you stick to your word.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Good time. Peace, Ray.